gravity disappears or distorts. On a spherical Earth, gravity pulls everything toward the planet's center, which is why we feel a stable down. If the Earth were flat, the direction of gravity would vary depending on location. At the center, it would pull straight down, but near the edges, gravity would pull at an angle. People would feel a constant tilt. Buildings would be unstable. Water would flow toward the center, and objects would roll inward from the edges. Some flat Earth theories suggest the Earth accelerates upward constantly to explain gravity, but then relativity comes into play. Light would bend, time would flow differently, and the world would look unlike what we observe. Since none of this happens, the Earth cannot be flat. Otherwise, physical reality around us would be inconsistent and strange. All oceans flow toward the center. If the Earth were flat, water wouldn't distribute evenly like it does on a sphere. Without centripetal gravity, oceans would gradually flow into the center of the disk. The edges would dry up, becoming barren, and climate zones would vanish. Rivers wouldn't follow the landscape, but would simply flow into the central basin. A massive water dome would form, disrupting pressure and ecosystems. Marine navigation would collapse as all ships moved toward one point. Coastal cities would be ruins, and millions of species extinct. In reality, water behaves stably, obeying a global balance only possible on a sphere. We do not see oceans draining toward a center. They cover the Earth evenly. One of the clearest proofs the Earth is round. What happens to the horizon? On a round Earth, the horizon isn't a straight line, it curves. As objects move away, their bottoms disappear first. Ships vanish hull first, then mast. On a flat surface, you'd see the entire object shrink, but stay fully visible. But this isn't what happens. Calculations show that a 100-meter tower begins to dip below the horizon at about 36 kilometers. You can test this with a telescope. Zoom won't reveal what's already hidden behind the curve. Interesting fact, commercial airplane passengers can sometimes spot the curve of the Earth out the window at cruising altitude, about 10,000 meters. This curvature is subtle but consistent. Flat Earth claims of optical illusions don't match observation or physics. The horizon acts exactly as it should on a sphere, curved, dynamic, and dependent on altitude. There's no visual or mathematical model on a flat plane that can duplicate what we consistently see. Why can't we see distant mountains? On a flat Earth, there should be no obstacle to seeing mountains or towers hundreds of kilometers away in clear weather. But we can't. Even on the clearest day, distant objects disappear bottom first. This is not because of haze or air density, it's the Earth's curvature. As distance increases, more of the object is hidden below the horizon. You can test this. Use a strong zoom lens or telescope, and you still won't see what's blocked by the curve. Interesting fact, surveyors and engineers must account for Earth's curvature in long-distance construction projects, like railroads or canals. Otherwise, their calculations are off. On a flat surface, no such adjustments would be needed. The progressive disappearance of distant features isn't just visual, it's physical, measurable, and predicted by geometry. The only model that accurately matches what we see is a globe. A flat Earth cannot explain this consistent pattern. Airplane routes wouldn't make sense. Airplanes follow the shortest path between 2 points on a globe, called a great circle route. On flat maps, these routes often appear curved or illogical. For example, flights from South Africa to Australia often pass through the Middle East or Asia. That makes no sense on a flat Earth, but on a sphere, it's the shortest route. Interesting fact, aviation software and GPS calculate fuel loads, headings, and distances based on a spherical model, and the results are accurate to within seconds. If Earth were flat, these calculations would fail. Pilots, navigators, and air traffic controllers all use globe-based models. The entire airline industry, billions of flights, wouldn't function if the Earth weren't round. Flight paths, fuel efficiency, and navigation are consistent only with a globe. A flat model produces contradictory, inefficient routes. Reality, data, and logistics all point to one conclusion. Earth is a sphere. Satellites and GPS wouldn't exist. GPS relies on satellites orbiting Earth and constantly transmitting location data. These satellites move in precise orbits only possible around a sphere. On a flat Earth, orbits would be unstable and satellites would crash or drift away. Geostationary satellites hover over the equator by matching Earth's rotation, something that's impossible if the Earth isn't spinning or curved. Interesting fact: GPS systems are so accurate they can pinpoint your phone within 1 meter, thanks to 24 satellites in constant motion around a spherical Earth. Weather satellites, satellite internet, and space telescopes also rely on spherical geometry. Flat Earth models can't explain satellite behavior, nor why coverage works even in remote oceans. We see real-time images from space every day, of storms, cities, even auroras. These technologies wouldn't work on a flat surface. Every functioning satellite is silent proof that Earth is round and rotating. Time zones would collapse. If Earth were flat and sunlight shone down from above, the entire disk would be lit at once. Day and night would happen everywhere simultaneously. But that's not what we see. Time zones exist because the spherical Earth rotates, exposing parts of the surface to the sun while others face away. In New York, it can be midnight, while in Tokyo, it's noon. Interesting fact: Antarctica experiences months of continuous sunlight or darkness due to Earth's tilt, a phenomenon that only makes sense on a sphere. Flat Earth models attempt to explain time zones by saying the sun moves in circles above the disk. But this wouldn't create gradual sunrises, sunsets, or varying day lengths. The shadow of night would move instantly, not sweep across the globe. Time zones, sunsets, eclipses, all match the behavior of a rotating sphere. No flat model replicates this precision. Space would be inaccessible. Flat Earth theories often reject space entirely, claiming there's a dome or ceiling blocking access. Yet we've launched thousands of satellites, sent humans to the moon, and operate a space station with international crews. You can even track the ISS live with a phone app. Interesting fact: amateur astronomers with backyard telescopes regularly observe the ISS, planets, and even deep space objects, confirming they're real and in orbit. If Earth were flat and enclosed, none of this would be possible. Rockets follow curved trajectories to enter orbit, something only possible on a globe. Space agencies across multiple countries have all independently confirmed Earth's roundness. Photos, videos, and physical instruments confirm the planet's curvature from orbit. Rejecting this requires dismissing all modern space science as a hoax, which contradicts open, observable evidence available to the public. Climate would break down. Earth's climate is shaped by its spherical shape, tilted axis, and orbit around the sun. These factors create predictable seasons, temperature zones, and weather systems. On a flat Earth, there'd be no logical reason for the tropics to be hot and the poles to be cold. Seasons would vanish, and global wind patterns wouldn't form. Interesting fact: ocean currents like the Gulf Stream help regulate temperatures across continents and are driven by Earth's rotation and shape. Without a rotating globe, such systems couldn't exist. Climate zones, equatorial rainforests, deserts, polar tundra, are all defined by angle of sunlight and Earth's curvature. If the Earth were flat, the sun's rays would strike uniformly, eliminating these variations. Weather forecasting, satellite imaging, and climate models would be useless. The real-world data aligns precisely with spherical geometry. A flat Earth simply can't support stable, predictable climate systems. Science would be a lie, but it's not. If Earth were flat, nearly every scientific discipline would be based on lies: physics, astronomy, geology, aviation, navigation. Thousands of researchers, pilots, engineers, and astronauts would have to be in on the conspiracy. But science is built on repeatable experiments and peer-reviewed data. Interesting fact: even school children have sent weather balloons with cameras to the stratosphere, capturing the Earth's curvature with no external help. The evidence doesn't come from governments. It comes from everywhere. Telescopes confirm planetary motion. Satellites send real-time data. Engineering relies on Earth's dimensions. The idea of a flat Earth collapses under even basic scrutiny. You don't need to trust institutions. You can test it yourself. From solar angles to ship navigation to shadows at different latitudes, everything proves the same thing. Earth is round. And every field of science confirms it, again and again. Subscribe right now. More videos are coming soon.